Velkommen til Filmz TV. I denne uge er der biografpremiere på den tredje Transformers-film, og i den forbindelse er Filmz TV taget til Moskva for at tale med instruktøren Michael Bay og alle skuespillerne fra filmen. Det var helt tilbage i 1984, at de allerførste afsnit af tegnefilmserien The Transformers blev transmitteret på amerikansk tv. Både tv-føljetongen og Hasbros Transformers-legetøj blev et verdensomspændende kulturfænomen. Og i 1986 udkom der endda en spillefilm med de kulørte megarobotter, Transformers The Movie, som blandt andet selveste Orson Welles lagde stemme til. Først 21 år senere, altså i 2007, udkom der en live-action spillefilm om Optimus Prime, Megatron og alle de andre kæmpe maskiner. Michael Bay var instruktøren, Steven Spielberg var en af producerne, og selvom filmen fik en blandet modtagelse blandt kritikerne, blev den et kæmpe hit over hele verden, og en fortsættelse var uundgåelig. Transformers De Faldendes Hævn udkom blot 2 år senere i 2009, men kritikken var endnu hårdere end sidst, og både filmens skuespiller og Bay selv har sidenhen været ude og undskylde for den frygtelige film. Nu Bay og Company står tilbage med den tredje og måske endda sidste Transformers-film, blot 2 år efter toeren udkom, og det på trods af, at Michael Bay havde følgende at sige, da vi var til pressekonference med instruktøren i London for 2 år siden.
You know, people have asked me since we've been on this tour, and literally since I've just finished it, I don't want to think. It makes me nauseous to even think of the third one. It's just too close, and I definitely have to do another movie before I come back to this.
I remember being at the Revenge of the Fallen press conferences in London, where you talked about, this was before the third movie was even put in production, and you talked about you would have to give some serious thought to maybe making the third movie. Also,
right.
You definitely want to make something in between.
Right.
So what prompted you to do the third movie so soon?
Well, the real story, here's the real story. The president of Paramount, who just got his job, I'm friends with, he pulled me aside after movie 2 came out, and he said, Mike, you got to do the third one. I said, why? He says, because I'm going to get fired if I don't have a big franchise for this summer. So I'm like, okay. So with movie 2, I think we had the writer's strike. We got caught with the writer's strike. It just wasn't enough time to put that script together. I always knew it was a very successful movie, but I always knew it was below here. And the third movie, I really wanted to raise the bar on this.
Mm-hmm. So what lessons did you take from the second movie?
When robots die, they die. Don't go to robot heaven, okay? There's many things. We wanted to make it more old-fashioned here. We wanted to, we wanted the idea of Black Hawk Down in terms of just a few of our core characters in this massive epic city, but it feels intimate because you're just with them, and the cavalry's not there, and the cavalry's not coming. Mm-hmm. We've told the audience the cavalry's always coming, but this time, they might not.
Mm-hmm. I also heard you talk about, you wanting to maybe do a smaller movie, and
I'm planning on doing that small movie now.
Yeah. Wow.
Just out of order.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
It just occurs to me that small movie and Michael Bay, that's almost a contradiction in terms, isn't it?
It is true. But it would be fun to work on I got this movie. It's very Pulp Fiction like. It's these fun characters, and it's a violent, dark comedy.
Interesting.
But true story.
Cool. But you've kind of eaten and breathed and slept Transformers for 5 years now. Are you satisfied with the trilogy as it is now? Do you want to leave it as it is?
I mean, it's sad to leave it because there's so much fun in the imagination to work. I've worked with the thousands of crew members. This is probably 4,000 crew members have touched this movie. I think it's good to let it lie for a bit, but you see how many fans it has around the world, and I don't know, it's a little sad.
Oh. It's always astounding to me. I think these Transformers are probably the most believable alien creatures that I've ever seen in a movie. What do you have a magic potion, or what do you tell these guys to do?
Lighting.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about lighting, and it's all how you see reflections, and we all see light as humans, and we can see when something looks fake. It's just they don't know why it's fake, but it's because of the lighting. Mm-hmm. And all our brains are very tuned to that to see what's kind of fake. Mm-hmm. But we also shoot a lot of real stuff in these movies, so it gives it more of a reality.
Mm-hmm. Are you frustrated by other movies that they don't go that extra mile?
I think it's lazy movie making. I think, and it's also a whole skill set to do a movie with massive visual effects. It's a total different skill set, and too many directors are being thrown into it without the training, without really learning what to do. And there's a problem at Hollywood. They're giving younger directors these gigantic movies with big visual effects, and it's like managing a whole other movie. So it's like 3 movies in one.
Yeah. I've been very interested in hearing what's the difference in the stewardship between someone like Jerry Bruckheimer and Steven Spielberg. And are you still in contact with Jerry? Because now you've done 4 movies.
I am in contact with Jerry. Very good friends with Jerry. Steven's funny. He says, "I want to be your new Jerry Bruckheimer." And then one day he goes, "So how do I compare to Jerry?"
What do you tell him?
I laughed because it's Steven Spielberg asking, "How do you compare to Jerry Bruckheimer?" But they're both great. They're both like father figures to me. You know, they both helped bring me up in this business, and I have enjoyed both of them immensely. So they're different. You know, Steven's a director, and it's like we could talk a little more shot technique stuff, but Jerry is he's a showman, and he knows what audiences like, and you know.
What is that?
This is your new lucky bunny.
It's interesting, you've taken on such a myriad of different projects these last few years, from straight-up action with Michael Bay to politically charged drama with Oliver Stone. Do you enjoy that diversity, doing so many different sorts of things?
Yeah, of course, yeah. I like working, you know? I like working, really. It's never as, it's not like I get to pick and choose, you know? It's never as strategic. It's not like a strategic move, like I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. These are just opportunities that arise, you know, and I've lucked out. I've really been very lucky.
You've been, of course, you played along in a lot of big Hollywood mainstream movies as well, but it was really interesting to me how great and how convincing you were in Wall Street as well. Would you like to do more of that sort of serious stuff as well?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I never show up to Transformers thinking it's not serious. You know, it's life and death at Transformers Land as well, and I never show up thinking, oh, well, I'm in popcorn mode. It's never that way. I mean, I'm as committed to this as I am to that. I don't show up here thinking I'm making a cartoon. You know, if a bus explodes here, I'm as frightened as I would be in a tangible, real setting as well. I play it for real. That's my goal, anyways. You know, and this is the darkest of the Transformers that we've ever had, and the first time we've ever had really a human face to an enemy. When you have an animatronic enemy face, it's less scary than having a person. You know, a human actually, it makes it all tangible. You know, it's one thing for the suspension of disbelief to be suspended just for the robots to exist. It's a whole nother, you know, it's even more to ask of the audience to then believe that this animatronic face is also your main villain in your film. It's very hard. But when you have like you know, you have Patrick Dempsey involved, for me, just in terms of me being Sam, it makes it all very tangible. Because you got to understand, I'm looking at Megatron, he's there. That's Megatron, right? He's nowhere, you know, and that's harder to be angry at than having a guy, you know. Anyway.
You're speaking about it being tough for the audience, but it must be so much tougher for you. Do you still feel it's silly rolling around, dodging thin air? Or?
It was much sillier the first time, you know. 5 years in, it's less silly.
It becomes second nature.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It becomes, you know, 5 years in, then you start like, well, Malkovich, you know, this is how we do it. This is how we talk to the robots, man. You know, and that's very cool. You know, to like bestow that onto one of the greatest actors alive.
I remember I was at a press conference in London talking about Revenge of the Fallen a couple of years back, and you referred to yourself as not the most gifted performer. Now, I totally disagree with that. I think you're great. You're very charismatic.
Thanks,
but
man.
Do you feel that you're still learning, and do you feel that you're getting better? Or
I hope so.
You think
I hope so. I hope I'm not like I hope I'm getting better. I hope I'm learning. I'm trying to. And that's all you can really ask, really, you know. But who knows? I can't judge myself really that way.
And you also talked about you have like this kind of big brother, small brother kind of relationship with Michael Bay.
Yeah.
Do you still get into it sometimes?
Constantly. Oh my God, yeah, of course, of course, constantly. But I love Michael, you know, and he's a visionary, and like it's the most enjoyable set life I've ever had since I've been doing this. And it's strenuous and it's tough and it hurts and it's long and you get tired and there's all those things, but I've never been so connected to a director in terms of like a friendship. I've never had it like with Mike. You know, I remember, and this is when I knew it, is on the second movie I messed up and I stabbed myself in the eye and I had like 30 stitches in my eye and I was bleeding, you know, I had like purple blood, you know, because it's fresh coming out of my head. And and I look over with the good eye, and Michael is on the floor crying, you know. And I've been hurt before on these movies. I usually get hurt all the time on these movies, but I've never seen Michael emote. I've never seen him to the second movie, you know, the second movie, and he's crying on the floor. And it was like, and I'm bleeding out of my face, you know, it's like, but like really one of the most beautiful moments I've ever had with Mike, you know, because he's not a dude who's gonna give you a hug or a handshake, or he's not gonna give you that. He's sort of Harrison in that way, sort of, you know, keeps his emotions close. He's never gonna relinquish it, but and even if you ask Michael, you know, I love Michael, but Michael loves me, but he would never say it, you know, it's that kind of thing.
You need any money for lunch?
No, I don't need any money for lunch. I have money from yesterday's lunch. You love it, don't you? I'm just your American boy toy.
I love a boy toy.
This is obviously your first film, and I guess for most people they would consider this a kind of a baptism by fire, doing your first feature, a huge Michael Bay blockbuster with explosions and special effects. I mean, was it tough?
Yes, it was tough. It was. Everybody kept saying, if you can survive this, you can do anything. And I think it was described as boot camp for me. A lot of people said it's going to be boot camp. Everything else will be a breeze after this. And it was tough, you know. It was 7 months, 17-hour days, and action movies are a lot, you know. It's extremely physical. You're running around, you're running through explosions, you're jumping through cars, you're going up in wires, you know, and on top of that I was learning how to do everything for a first time. So it was tough, but so exciting.
I was going to ask about the Victoria's Secret shoot that you did with him, because as you say, it's a couple of years ago. What do you think it was about that shoot in particular that made him think of you for this movie?
I don't know exactly why Michael ended up choosing me for this movie, and I've never really asked him, you know, I suppose there was one particular scene during the commercial where he drove me out into the middle of the desert in heels and a billowing cape, and it was like 100 degrees Celsius, and you know, and it was tough, and he made me sort of, you know, literally was a mile away from camera, and he made me he wanted me to do a runway walk all the way to camera, and I was like, are you kidding me? He said, no, I'm not kidding you, get out there. And I did it, and you know, and Michael and I have like really good banter. I sort of give it back to him, he gives it to me, and you know, we have a laugh. I get his sense of humor, and I don't know, maybe he saw something, maybe he enjoyed my spunky attitude, I don't know.
I really liked your performance in the film.
Thank
and
you.
It's interesting to me that there seems to be a lot of critics who they tend to write off models when they start acting, which is funny because there's also Tyrese Gibson is in the film, and Josh, and they started off.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Do you feel that as well, that people tend to look at models as not?
Yeah, I think that, you know, I think that the critics and I think people are going to write what they want to write, and you know, that's really not something I can let get in the way of my future and my career. There's always going to be negativity, there's going to be positivity. That's something that really comes with the job, and I've dealt with it for 8 years throughout my modeling career, so I'm prepared for it. And you know, you take the punches and you know, you deal with it, but I'm expecting it.
Det var alt for denne gang på Filmz TV, men vi er slet ikke færdige med vores dækning af Transformers 3. På fredag kan du se resten af vores eksklusive interviews. Vi har talt med John Malkovich, Patrick Dempsey, Josh Duhamel og Tyrese Gibson. På gensyn.